Good morning, dear magical ones. Well, I don't know if you watched our podcast that we did yesterday, but at the end of the podcast, I was talking about doing a 2026 13 card spread for like forecasting. Um, and I was going to do it for me, and then I was going to offer a free one. But as I was shuffling the cards and pulling out cards, um, I realized the cards were really strongly telling me that this reading is for everyone. So, this is a free reading for everyone. Also, in the podcast, I had mentioned that I'd seen a lot on threads that people were pulling like one card for the theme for them for 2026, and that a lot of people were pulling the sun card, which seemed very positive, and I, was a bit surprised when I told Susie that in the podcast yesterday. She was relieved when I was shuffling these cards, and I would focus on the month. So I'm like, okay, I'm focusing on the month of January, and a card would jump out. And I did that for every month. Some cards jumped out violently, some cards just gave me some resistance to not go in back into the deck. Um, but there were cards that were violent, like I am adamant that you take these cards out. That's what it felt like. Um, the other thing is when the cards jumped out, sometimes two jumped out, and I wasn't sure if that meant that I should do it. Say I was shuffling for January. Was it January, February? Was it two cards for January? And I just felt like that was getting complicated. So I felt like it was a flow. So what I did was I took the two cards and I did January, February. Otherwise, I would have had like 20 cards, which is, in my opinion, too much to make it coherent. Then, because I was a little unsure of the placement of the cards, I took my pendulum and I asked the ancestors to guide me as I asked the questions with my pendulum. So I held the pendulum over the spread, and I asked, was it in the right order? Um, and also I asked, is this just for me personally, or is this for everyone? And both times it was unequivocally, yes, this is in the right order, and yes, this is for everyone. What I decided to do, because when I saw this spread, I was like, wow, this is not the sun card. It's very complicated, and it felt urgent, it felt important, and it felt like a lot. So I decided that instead of doing like a 2 hour long video as to what this forecast is going to be, what I'm going to do is I took a picture of the spread, and at the beginning of each month, I'll do a little video explaining what the card was that I pulled in January. Today, I'm going to start with the overarching card, the theme for 2026, and then I'll also do the month of January. I want to tell you now that I am not going to sugarcoat this. This was not an easy reading. This is not a love and light reading. There is some of that, so don't despair. But this is a reading that needs to be told as is, no sugarcoating, no mincing of words. If you don't want to hear some call to action or whatever, then don't watch, because like I say, I'm not going to dumb this down. I'm not going to uh, vanilla it. What I did is I put all the cards back in my deck, because I do plan on using my deck, but I will show you the cards that I pulled, um, the overarching card and the card for January. So I'm going to show you the deck that I used. Um, and this is the case that I made for my deck. So my deck is the craft cards, um, made by the Craftarian, I think. Don't know. Anyway, they're called the Vintage Tarot or something. Yeah, it doesn't actually say on the box, but when you look for it on websites or whatever, it's called the Vintage Tarot, I think. I'm going to start with the overarching card. Now, I took notes because uh, it was 13 cards, so there's a lot here. So I may refer to my notes because when I was writing, it felt very urgent. Like I felt like I was channeling a lot of information from the cards, from spirit. And I also want to say that there were some explanation, like if you look at the traditional explanation of things, some things in those explanations I felt that I needed to omit because it wasn't what spirit was telling me these cards actually meant. It didn't mean all of it, it meant something very specific. So I focused on a lot of specific meanings, and then I also interpreted the picture um, intuitively of the actual tarot card. I need to caffeinate myself here. All right, so the overarching card was, oops, my cards are falling. They're very active, my cards. Yesterday and today, they're just like all over the place. The overarching card, so the theme card for the year. And after having done the reading, the full reading, this was the actual last card that I pulled. It made perfect sense. So bear with me, trust me, when I do this month by month, it all makes sense. All right, so the overarching card is the Eight of Wands. When I saw this card, my immediate thought was like arrows flying through the air. It felt very almost warfare like. Um, I know that card doesn't necessarily mean that, but it means things traveling through the air. That was my big intuitive thought. Okay, so this Eight of Wands card basically means that you need to act. You need to strike while the iron is hot. That there is going to be news or new information that is going to be the pivotal moment that we need to take action. Okay, so you can take this in whatever context you want. This might be more personal, but I felt it was a more global situation. This whole reading was a global situation, and we know where we are in this world right now. Okay, so that's why this felt very important. Um, so this means like a call to action and to be bold. I took notes, so just let me look at my notes in a little bit. The other thing was that you need to move into high gear. You need to make yourself known as to what your position is. Okay, so again, you take that however way you want to. Um, it's a it's a call to be bold, take action. But there is a little thing in here that I found to be really interesting. It's to be alert because the news that we could be getting or the missing piece of information that we could be getting will probably be disguised. So, you know, that that's happening right now, right? You know that everything is being twisted and contorted to fit a certain narrative, but there's going to be something that is going to be disguised. But if we are alert and aware and paying attention and doing our research and using our intellect and logic, that's all in the reading for the months to come. So, okay. The other thing is that it's like a whirlwind, because it's stirring up the air. This whole thing is causing like a whirlwind. So that's what this year the overarching theme is: whirlwind, news that's disguised, call to action, a call to be alert and aware, and to be bold and to declare yourself, declare your position. Okay? Eight of Wands. The first card I pulled was the Ace of Swords. And it kind of makes sense, right? Actually, I'm going to show you. I didn't do a close up of the Eight of Wands. That's the Eight of Wands. So the Ace of Swords. Now, the Ace of Swords, Ace, is the beginning. So it kind of makes sense that January, it's the beginning of the year. This is a beginning card. I'm just going to read my notes here. I'm going to read you the notes because I was just writing them and then I'll go over them. It means mental force, justice, truth, finding facts, analyzing the situation, using intellect, logic, finding strength to overcome, righting a wrong, dispelling doubts, seeing through illusions, new spirit, resolve to set things right honestly and ethically. So I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but this really felt like a call to all of us at the beginning of this year to fight for. It's a sword, it's a fighting card, to fight for justice, for truth, to use your intellect, to use your logic, um, to to wield a sword requires strength. So to use your strength, um, it's this card is calling for justice, but it's also asking us, and I know I have these moments, but it's calling us to just dispel the doubts. So do your research, use your intellect, use your logic, look at what's being fed to you right now, and don't um, don't get caught up in the gray areas. Go to your intuition and know what is truth and what are lies. You need to dispel the doubts, otherwise you're waffling. And I get that. I get it. And I think that's what 2025 was. We're like, oh, are things going to get worse, get better? Where are things going? Plus, we're in shock. But now it's telling us to get out of that shock. It's time to um, to see through the illusions, and to resolve, to set things right, honestly and ethically. So that includes being inclusive and aware of other people, even the other side, if you want to look at it that way. So that's a very interesting January card. It's a fighting card right off the bat. It's a card, a call to action. It's a call to gather strength. And it's a solo card. It's the number one. Um, so I think it's just speaking to you, me individually, that we need to do some work here to get ready for this coming year and get your fight mode on, get your armor on, um, and let's go. Okay, so that's it for now. And what I'm going to do, uh, I'll do one February 1st ish, depending on what day it is. I will do the February card. Okay, well, I hope this motivates you. I don't want it to scare you, but I also don't want you to think that this is going to be easy because it's not going to be easy. But we have us as people, we have connection, especially us witches, our folk magic practitioners, um, the all magic practitioners. We have that extra boost of power, and it's very powerful. And we can do this. Okay. All right. I'll see you in February.